Birdhouse, Crom Stone Fist, and Red Streak Sharp Pencil, may you rest in peace.
Rest in peace, guys.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 1 of the Second Shot Happy Hour. This is where we discuss what happened in the episode before, and just a warning for everybody, this is the video series on our page that is not family-friendly language, so if you are watching us for that, this episode, you might want to watch it before you let your kids do it. So, with that said, you've been warned.
Yeah.
All right.
NSFW.
That's
Fuck
right.
off, kids.
Oh, jeez.
God.
All right.
I'm kidding.
So, recap. For those of you that have not watched episode 1, this is a spoiler. I'm going to tell you what happened. So, if you want to see what happens before you watch this, I recommend that. So, our players all went up to a white dragon's lair and were summarily executed in about 4 rounds. We're going to discuss what led up to that and how that happened and lessons learned. So, with that, let's run right into it here. So, what did you guys think of our hook for getting all the characters together?
I thought it was a good idea, a good way to bring everybody together, to have the mayor of this town want us to seek out what's been killing the cattle.
It was as good as any. You know, I mean, it was one step above, meeting in a tavern.
I was going to say better than...
It was pretty close to that.
The reality is you life's expensive. You got expenses and you need money. And to do that, you got to have a job. And so we needed a job. We took the job.
If
Good.
you were to run this as a one-shot, it would have been a perfect setup. Just quick setup of why the characters are there, how they meet. Yeah.
I think the hard part with having all of the characters not know each other before is you guys also played it that way. So there was a little bit of role play. I know Manny was trying to get his character looking at the automaton characters and trying to play into that a little bit. And I think you guys did pretty well. But being all strangers, you weren't able to dive into it as much as I think you would if the group had come in with a history.
Yeah.
So
I agree with that.
So with that, let's take our first break here real quick and do a toast to the fallen. So, I've got my beer here. We're going to crack it open. And to B1RD, Birdhouse, Crom Stone Fist, and Red Streak Sharp Pencil, may you rest in peace.
Rest in peace, guys.
And for the robots, rest in pieces.
Oh.
Ooh, nice.
I don't know
much
about
better
y'all
than I thought.
motherfuckers, but I'm going to be reactivated.
We'll
I need to
see.
charge a while.
Sure you
I
are,
need a
buddy.
battery.
I'm a
I had
turtle.
All right, so
As
first,
a foot massager.
Oh, come on. That was a great last line.
That was
That's
a
all
very
right.
good
That
line.
was.
I love that, Chuck. That was great.
but we'll get to that at the end. So first, I have a question for Manny here. Manny, this was your first time playing an artificer or an artificer. I'm not sure which one's the correct pronunciation.
Short
But
answer.
do you feel you were able to use that class to its fullest extent?
I really liked having 3 attacks, because as a wizard, you don't get 3 attacks. But it made it fun, because I could position the steel defender in strategic ways to try and help me out, because it had a lot of buffs for close combat and long range combat. So the artificer's other abilities, I feel like I didn't get to use them as much because some of them were more support stuff, and all his abilities were used on himself. So I didn't get to use it with the rest of the party.
Right. And for those of you that don't know, in our primary campaign that we all play, that we're doing our long-term one, Manny is our wizard, so that's what he is used to.
And
Do
back
you?
up tank.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a battle.
He's our battle wizard.
Actually, yeah, to add on to what Manny was saying, I've also played and am currently playing a battlesmith in another long-going campaign. And you are right, it's very much, there's a lot of for those out there who are looking for a character that has a lot to do outside of combat as well, but still like make an effort in combat, it's definitely a good class to play because you have so many tool proficiencies, which if you have a good DM can really come in handy for some really strategic gameplay. And definitely a lot of buffs for ability checks with like guidance and Flash of Genius, which is a level 7 ability that basically you add your intelligence modifier to any ability check or saving throw of your own or that you see. It's a really cool, so it's a really nice support subclass, and I'm really happy he took the Battlesmith, and I love how Manny flavored it personally with like having like his Steel Defender just be a person of himself, and yeah, it was really nice.
Nice. Cool. So, I thought it was a good use of a character, and it definitely filled a hole when you're trying to get through that door. For those of you that have watched the my post video and in my DM, that door wasn't so. I was actually not expecting you guys to have the rocks fall on you. The door was more of a alarm system for the dragon, but having that artificer there to be able to sleight of hand your way through, that really benefited you guys, so that worked out well. So moving on here, you got into the quest where you then started your investigation and went through the field. Tell me what you were thinking about Bo as you guys were going through this field, and I was describing the cairns that were there, the upturned dirt, and kind of what your impressions were of that area.
I was
imagine walking kind of like a battlefield, because you said like there was bodies, right? That's how I envisioned it. We were walking along this torn up not battlefield, but like
it was like dead animals.
Dead animals. That's how I envisioned it. It just
wasn't...
reeked like animals, and it just smelled like dead cattle, and there was bits and goop and just.
So in the setting, the Fields of the Dead are an ancient battlefield. So there were lots of rusted swords, rusted armor, things like that.
Yeah, that's how I used it because when I had that last Toll the Dead on him, that's what I used. Is I envisioned these ancient beings that had fought in this battlefield. Just, I don't know. That really added to the immersion for me. I just imagine fighting on like Gettysburg.
Nice.
That.
Now, do you remember you guys rolled pretty poorly because that upturned dirt where I was giving you that info.
For the bullet.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say was not expecting a bullet to show up.
Right. If you had rolled a little better,
sense. Yeah.
Yep. So that's why I flavored it first as maybe grave robbers in the area, treasure hunters.
Yeah, because you had like upturned, like after like looking back, you had all the signs. It was like upturned dirt.
Mm-hmm.
It was like bite marks. Something was eating it, but there was no like signs of something flying away. Not that there really would be, but like I still was when the bullet showed up, I was very much surprised, and he took a bite out of me, so that was not fun.
Nice. All right, so Sam, we'll go right into that. Was there any of your wild magic that you didn't get to use that you wanted to use, or were you able to use everything that you were hoping to?
So a reason why the class was so awesome was just because of just the randomness you get when you go into said rage and you get to roll on that table. I had a color for like how the hair would change color depending on like what rage form and what wild surge I had. I had like a different option for like every single one, but I did get to use all the options I was hoping for. I wasn't prepared for ranged fighting because like against the dragon I was kind of at a disadvantage being a barbarian, having to get up close and personal with a creature that flies away. So having the number 4 ability, which lets me throw whatever weapon I have in my hand towards a creature, was very helpful, and I'm happy I landed on it. But I was hoping to get the rainbow colored one, like it's like multicolored light, gives me like a boost to AC, because I was gonna flavor it like Mario Kart, or like you get the star and you just go invincible. That was basically how I was gonna flavor, just like rainbow mohawk. This was constantly emitting light, but yeah, I hope to use all of those someday, but I'm happy with the ones I got to use.
Nice. Manny, is your cat playing with bottle caps in the background?
Can you hear that?
Bruh, yeah, man.
All right, well, he takes care of that. I guess, Sam, anything else as part of your class that you learned or would give advice to anyone that wants to play that?
Well, barbarians are really good intro. Like, I feel like it's very easy to pick up. if you're coming into D&D and you don't want to like look at a fighter and maybe think it's boring, definitely it's a really good it's a really good melee class. It's like really fun. It's cool to flavor your rages. There's a lot of cool subclasses, and it's a really good way to like get into some like good role play with it as well. Like a lot of the stuff I did.
Carefully, Sam.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not talking about anybody specifically. I've always wanted to play a barbarian in a campaign, and I've played Crom in like one shots and short ones, but I've never like played him fully. So I hope to someday in the future. But
well, he's dead now, so that's
yeah.
Not
he's dead now. That's probably not going to happen. But he was definitely one of my like. It was when I first looked at 5e. Barbarian is one of the first classes I wanted to play.
Gotcha.
And I have yet to play one. But yes,
you got to burn the character sheet.
Definitely a fun character. I gotta burn a character sheet. They're all PDFs. Do I export, delete afterwards? Fuck that. Nah.
That's right, man. Just shut the fan off on your processor. It'll burn itself.
That's a stupid idea.
That's what you got to do at the end of the episode. At the end of the series.
Yeah. Like, okay, I'm gonna peace out, and you just see me log off like forced out because my laptop fucking died.
That's your death challenge if you die in the next one.
Dude,
That's
I'm
right.
not dying. I'm
all right, so moving on. After the bullet fight, you guys managed to continue through the open plains, get to the base of the mountain, and ascend your way up. I was expecting all of you to hike your asses up that mountain. I was not expecting Mr. Rocket Boots to take yourselves up there. So, Chuck, tell us what your thought process was when I described the mountain and your intended destination.
Thought process was this ain't shit.
Any thoughts about leaving the non-automatons behind?
No, B1RD's a machine, and I realize that people do what they do, but machines have logical thinking. It's non-emotional, and from a logical perspective, we have 4 members in the party because we need 4 members in the party to complete our task. So leaving somebody behind is not an option. Otherwise, we can't complete our task. So, and I picked him honestly because I'm an old school player. I don't even, the tech D&D is all about swords and magic and dragons. And, people the last few years have been bringing in guns and all this kind of shit. And, there's other RPGs. You could go play Call of Cthulhu or that vampire one. They got guns if you want to shoot things. You want to shoot something on D&D, use a fucking bow.
Says the guy who played a robot with laser eyes.
Well, no, and I did that on purpose because what is B1RD?
Uh-huh.
It's the fucking finger.
Okay.
It's the bird to all you motherfuckers. If you want technology in the game, there you go. Jet boots, laser eyes, kiss my fucking shiny copper ass.
I'll take a drink to that.
I'll take a drink to that too. I mean, you say logical thinking. Is that why you wanted to serve Crom up on a silver platter at the end?
No, the reason for that was because I've got a lot of experience playing this game. Okay, and not only that, but I have some tactical training. And as soon as I saw this map, we're dead. There's no other option. There's no chance of survival. So give them the fucking dwarf and leave. That was my thought. Here, take this guy. And I literally tried to leave. I tried to delete my token off the map and I couldn't do it. And I seriously, when my turn came, I thought about doing Meld with Stone and walking into the mountain and letting Aaron role play out the 480 rounds before I have to come out. The truth is, D&D, you can't beat a DM that wants to kill you. So the dragon would have swung his tail, the mountain would have shattered, and I would have died due to 10d6 of bludgeoning damage. But realistically, we know a young dragon couldn't do that, but the DM can. So I just hovered out over here.
Yeah, he was sending icicles at us, man. That was intense.
And took my death like a champ.
Yeah, that would have stretched my improv abilities for sure if you'd done that Meld with Stone.
I see, because I design characters different. Or I'm old school. These kids these days, they're trying to min max and they want to do 300 points of damage in every round in combat. And B1RD is a fucking archaeologist. Right? Archaeologist doesn't do that. I mean, he was created and he lived for a long time and he watched the race that created him die. And he's trying to study how he could stop that from happening again to people. And he has spells and abilities that aid him in his archaeological adventures.
So, Chuck, let's
know?
lead right into that with your question. How do you feel your class matched up to this? Did you enjoy playing it? Anything you would have changed?
I don't know. Honestly, I didn't play him enough to get a feel for it. I mean, I've never played in 50 years, man. I've only ever played humans, dwarves, elves, and half elves. Until our Halloween one shot, I played that halfling. But I'm really traditional. I mean, like if it wasn't in Lord of the Rings, you don't do it.
Mhm.
And the only reason I ever played a half elf was because when Dragonlance came out, I mean, who the fuck didn't want to be Tanis? And so I played a half elf for a couple of years. But the whole idea of playing a robot is absurd. But I mean, I could see that it could have some fun. And I chose the Aormaton instead of a Warforged. Firstly, because I didn't know we weren't supposed to. But
I was wondering that, like,
but if you read the descriptions between the two, a Warforged is just a shamble of shit jammed together, wood and metal and all the, and an Aormaton is a robot. They're all steel. There ain't no wooden hands or wooden legs or any of that kind of stuff. They're 100% metal, and that makes more sense to me. I mean, Warforged makes sense for Faerun or
I think it's Eberron.
It's Eberron.
Eberron or whatever, because it would seem that they would put together whatever they had to make it work.
Mhm.
But it just seems to me like Warforged are an unfinished project.
Huh.
A prototype.
You
Whereas
didn't tell Bird
now
about that,
segue
did
to our shamble of shit Warforged
Yeah,
cleric in the
yeah,
party. Like you're just like roasting it, and I just see
Hey.
Bo, and he's just like, "Please go on,
Go on,
motherfucker,"
What else you gotta
But
say?
actually, going back to that, it's like when you talk about like if it wasn't a Lord of the Rings, we wouldn't have played it. Just saying, Aragorn is in fact a half elf. Just the Dunedain Rangers.
That's
are
a very
half-blood.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying. So
Yeah.
half elves are definitely always in. It's a favorite race of
Just
mine.
saying.
Just saying.
All right, keeping
Okay,
moving
Shamble-
on here.
Shamble
So,
of shit Warforged. Let's go.
I want to talk directly to Sam here because he stumbled right into my DM trap. Tell me about the cultists outside the cavern and your feelings towards them.
Oh my god, that was a trap. I didn't even think it was. I mean, there was that cultist that came out.
Yeah.
But the dice were on my side. The
Mhm.
dice felt my rage as this rabbit died, was kicked to death, and well, when you gave us like the guidelines of creating the character, you gave us like to choose a magic item off of like one of the magic tables from the player's handbook or DM guide, and I saw the potion of growth, and I was just like, what would be the funniest shit? Seeing a smaller race, a dwarf, just double in size and become the largest in the party, so gonna get the 10 feet tall, and I thought, when would be a good time? I was going to save for the dragon, but like once I saw these guys, just once I saw these guys display some animal cruelty towards an innocent little bunny, I was like, this is the moment. And I just chugged the potion, and I got to grow, and I loved that whole bit, just role playing all that was hilarious. And like honestly, trap or not, it's exactly what Crown would have done. He's very much like standing up for like the little guy and the people.
Well, I use the term trap lightly for those of you, because these guys haven't seen it yet because I haven't published it, but my DM prep video, in there I was talking about how do I get these guys to not try and talk their way to these cultists, because I wanted you to fight them. And so I was talking about how as a DM, I draw you in to not talk and to fight these guys. And I was like, let's have them kick some bunny rabbits.
So animal cruelty.
That's
okay.
right, yeah.
It also didn't help too that like right when the rabbit was kicked and my face just dropped. Fucking Chuck is like, Reggie! And I was just like, no! For those who don't know, we mentioned we played a Halloween one-shot literally the day before where I played one of a male Herongon, which was released in one of the adventure books, Witchlight.
Yeah,
I
Beyond the
forget
Witchlight.
name. Beyond the Witchlight, thank you, where they introduced the UA race rabbit folk into a Herongon, and I played a gunslinger of that. And so I guess it was also like kind of like in my heart, but I also was just like, this is the moment. He's definitely gonna want to just go up and just destroy them. And I mean, Crom did. I mean, yeah, those wisdom saves hurt, but like the first round where like, you know, the ambush was kind of set up by the cultists behind me and the archers and stuff, just your rolls were not with you, and like it really proved in the moment that like Crom was just there to like fuck shit up.
Yeah.
And I was very happy to like role play that, and Gallagher a guy. You know, I was thinking this too, like for the people watching, a lot of people probably don't know who Gallagher is. Just
That's
look him
true.
up and look him up. He would smash watermelons with a giant mallet, and that's basically the guy was my watermelon.
That's probably the same as Mr. Manny here not knowing our Indiana Jones
yeah.
reference.
The Kali Ma, this guy is just like.
Forgive me for not being 35.
Hey, I'm 24, buddy. Excuse you.
All right, how about the Manticore coming down? Any was that a same surprise as the bullet?
When that thing
I didn't
came
expect one to
down,
come down.
I was ready to guiding bolt that thing off. I've never played a caster before, so that thing came down, and I was like, "Let's get this staff
Yeah.
out." Let it
Guided into the grave.
Yes, I did.
The thing was, like, at the end of the session, I remember like this was a fight we had done in our actual campaign. I completely forgot about it. So like, even though Crom didn't actually interact with the Manticore, he had his hands filled with the cultists.
Mhm.
It was still a surprise to see it like come down. But this time they actually got it.
Yes.
So it
'cause
was really
that
good to
one
see it
was
done.
that the one that flew away.
Yeah, the Manticore in this one flew away because
Was that the one that came back, Aaron?
No, yeah.
No, the Manticore didn't come back. 2 wyverns and like an adult white dragon did it in our campaign.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
Fucking
that
wrecked us.
Manticore left though because he was scared. He
was like,
And that was
They
that would have
wrecked you.
happened in this one. That would have happened in this one if you guys hadn't have killed it so efficiently. So yeah, good job.
Guiding bolt will be
All right, so-
first level 46.
Yeah, that's right. All right, Bo. So your character. Talk a little bit about what you learned. Did you get the amount of heals off you were expecting for your party?
Honestly,
Should I call you Jester?
coming into this? I thought that I had more healing spells prepared, but I realized when I was looking at it that I did not. I had Revivify at 3rd level, but I didn't have coming into the last fight. Once our friends got down, I didn't have any 3rd level spell slots remaining, so I had no way to do it. So I had no heals. I was basically a dwarf cleric, a warforged cleric just out there. I don't know. I've never played a caster in any game I've ever played. I've always done melee. I've always done that. So I came in there.
Now you know to save the spell slot for Revivify.
Yes,
Wait a
and
minute,
now
wait a
I know
minute.
to have some healing spells
Crom
for our
used
friends.
Crom used bolstering magic on you to get like at least up to a 3rd level spell slot back. Did you
Oh,
not
and
get
I
did you not
used
get a
that.
3rd level? Oh, you did. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he got a couple heals out. But...
They come out. I got no
Yeah.
heals out, but I was guiding people left and right. I will tell you.
No, honestly, even though he didn't heal as much, I'm happy he didn't because he got to show a really cool subclass and
Yeah,
a
the
cleric that
Twilight
doesn't have to be
thing, yeah.
oriented around being the designated healer of the party.
Right,
like-
that Twilight. What was that ability? The Twilight.
Twilight
Sanctuary.
is
Sanctuary.
amazing.
That was unique. I had never seen that before.
I know, because I was reading that. I was like, ooh, Aaron's going to love this. Dark vision out to 300 feet for everybody.
Well, I think he's talking about like the dome you have where it's like you get 10 HP.
Yeah, that
You're
too.
no
Oh,
longer
yeah,
frightened,
yeah.
you're charmed.
That
Like
thing
that-
is nice, too.
Tasha's really had, like published like a lot of really cool subclasses, and I was so happy to see that one in action because I've been looking at that one too.
I didn't really know how to roleplay Birdhouse, though, at first. I wasn't sure if he wanted to not know who people really were or how to do it. But as he went on, he just was a sarcastic.
Man, I tried a shitty accent and then like a giant dwarf voice, so
But yeah, that's Birdhouse.
Yeah, I couldn't really get
Pile
my
of
accent
shit,
down either.
whatever Chuck called it. My pile of shit that was gooped together.
Shamble of shit.
Yeah.
All right, so then you guys entered the tunnel. I was expecting you to try and take a short rest there, which I would have given you, but I don't think you guys used a whole much that because you'd healed back up using spells and potions, so you didn't really need to rest to get your HP back up. But I don't know if any resting would have brought back any spell slots, so I'm not sure how much it would have done. Because I'm trying to think.
Just me.
What would you have gained from a short rest there?
And one spell slot.
Okay, so yeah.
As a
Yeah,
warlock. warlock, so-
I could have infused my armor with cold resistance.
Well,
had
did
I
you
known.
know what you were facing at that point yet?
No.
Yeah,
Right.
So it's good.
But I
it's good.
could have had I known.
You could.
That's true.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
Other than B1RD, I think Crom would have only gotten like all his stuff back. He would have gotten all his rages, but it's like, unfortunately, like I was looking at like how to end the rage and stuff, because what I was thinking of doing is just like, oh, I'm gonna rage multiple times in a fight to get different wild surges.
You
Just kind
can.
of like go through them. You can, but it's like it's a bonus action to end the rage, and like, what if I get hit by something and I can't half it? You know. I
mhm.
mean, in this fight, it didn't really matter, but thankfully at higher levels, there are ways to get wild surge on there just willy nilly. Like the final level is basically like, oh, on each of your turns you can roll again, and it's like it's interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that definitely gets added in the subclass. That's what I'm looking forward to later episodes where we play higher level characters,
Mhm.
because then I can really like flesh out some character classes. Like I have a blood hunter that I definitely want to play like a higher level one here.
Nice.
And
Yeah, I learned a trick with purple worm venom.
The what?
Purple
Purple
worm
worm.
venom.
what is that?
You know, purple worm venom.
Yeah, purple worm venom. Duh.
Yeah. I'm
Are you-
saving that one.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm
we
Yeah.
all look forward to it.
I don't
You
know.
well, no. See, the trick is you take purple worm venom and you get yourself a couple dozen daggers and you coat them all with the venom, and then you just hang on to them. And then when you come up on your big bad evil guy, you cast animate object on 18 daggers and attack with them, and it does like 1,400 points of damage.
All right.
There's a lot of flaws in that plan, but I admire it.
Yeah, it's like 18 d4 plus 18 and then 212 d6.
Well, just don't accidentally touch the daggers, and maybe
That's right.
You'll be all right.
All right, so we'll keep moving on here. So you went through the approach to the tunnel. There you went through the first trap, which I had to decide if I was going to change the trigger, and I decided to leave the trigger, which was to light a torch and walk through those runes. But since you all had dark vision, you all just went through without it, so the trigger never happened. And since you didn't short rest, I was like, I'll let him have this win, so that you get through it. Then he came to the door. Honestly, I was expecting someone to do a perception check on the door and see the rock trap, but no one did. You just turned it and opened it and triggered the rock trap. The door then itself was going to be a warning as to how the dragon reacted to you. If you had kicked your way through the door in one shot, the dragon would have ice breathed you immediately upon entering. But you slipped your way through, so the dragon got a chance to talk and try and demand its way through there. So before we go to the boss fight, who's got a question for me?
About said boss fight, I believe I mentioned it last week as well. You said we wouldn't have won the fight. What do you think contributed to like the rather one-sided battle on your end against our NPCs? Because I have a few ideas, but
Right.
I
So
definitely wanna hear what you're thinking.
So that entire adventure was, I'll have to look, but it was only a few points short of what the combat tracker, or the encounter builder, has for the adventuring day for a level 4 party of 4, or level 6 party of 4. So you were right where the encounter tracker said you should be, spread up between those 3 fights. Those 3 fights were hard, and deadly. So the 3 fights, I think if you had been one-on-one with the dragon, because our experience with 5e is any number of PCs versus one bad guy, the PCs are generally going to win. So I think having to deal with the 2 cultists, being in that enclosed space, and then getting all... I think the second round was the only round of the breath did not recharge. So I was able to use that breath 3 to 4 times, and I think that was really what the killer was.
I was gonna say that on top of you critting like multiple times with the layer action, especially like the icicles.
Yep.
I think like when you're like setting up these encounters, like are you using like Dungeon Master's Guide, Xanathar's Guide to everything with like combat encounters and like setting those up? Like what source are you taking it from?
So the encounter XP is taken directly from the encounter builder. So I think that's based on Xanathar's and then the Dungeon Master's Guide. So just the pure numbers are from there, and then from that, I use a couple third-party books for my tactics. One, just experience in what I do, but also the monsters know what they're doing. Every time I do a big monster, I make sure to read the chapter on that creature so that I know what the tactics are supposed to be. And that's basically what I did. And in a dragon's case, the tactic is if it has its ice breath, it uses its breath. And so that's basically
a white dragon will generally bounce around.
Mm-hmm.
That's
what I did.
They don't stay in one place. They'll bounce around, blast with their breath weapon, and then move to another location.
And I'd seen one that if we were outside, and I really in a case like this where I am not worried about killing you like I am in a long campaign, which arguably I probably shouldn't be anyway, but outside, the dragon should grab like the wizard and take him really up high and drop his ass on the ground and pick him off one by one.
I will say, like, no matter like what resources, because it shows clearly that you're using a lot of resources for these encounter building, like building these encounters. At the end of the day, you can like build I think you really showed it too. You can build like a level encounter that's supposed to be challenging and deadly for us to the T, but you can never take into account the roll of the dice and the oddity of it, because you rolled so many crits, you rolled so many 5s and 6s to get that breath weapon back, and just doing that once or twice already is putting the fight.
And in my DM video that I did, I talked about for DMs that want to run an encounter like this, to roll the breath weapon recharge behind the screen.
For sure.
Because then that way I could say, oh, nope, it didn't recharge this time because I knew I would be killing you.
The thing about it is I've built a few encounters. Experience isn't really relevant because most of the time you're going to level by milestone anyway. You're not talent. And what you want to look at is the overall challenge of the encounter. Okay, the young white dragon, CR6. But the only time that young white dragon is a CR6 is like if you face him in an arena. Okay, if you're in flat, solid ground, no cover, he's a CR6. Okay, and basically what the CR means is that a party of level 6s, 80%, 90% of the time, they'll take some bumps and bruises, but they're going to win.
Well, if it was just the dragon, the difficulty encounter for you guys was a medium. So there was no chance of death. But when I added those two cultists and the layer actions, that brought it up.
Well, it wasn't even the cultists. What it did here is I looked at this, and what I see clearly, and I saw it right away, is a CR12 encounter. Okay, and the reason for that is you got your 6 for your dragon. Okay, now you got a fortified position. Okay, it could be rough terrain, just same day, but this is a fortified position. We have to use our movement to crawl down and then traverse an open area with no cover and then crawl back up, all while being under an onslaught from a dragon and 2 ranged attackers. Okay, that's a fortified position. That adds 1. We'll keep that simple. Then you got your lair actions, which lair actions, I could go for days on this because in 50 years of D&D, there's been 1, okay, count them up on your fingers, 1 fucking young dragon that's ever had lair actions, because they're impossible. All right, if you know how lair actions are created.
Welcome to 5e, Chuck. Welcome to 5e.
Well, no, just because some idiot at Wizards, I mean, they'll print anything. But anyway, so you got lair actions. You have to add 2 to the CR for lair actions. Well, so that brings us up to 9. And then you look at the 2 attackers. I guessed them to be around level 5. Level 5 mage and archer. CR3. So that puts us at level 12, or at CR12 for the encounter. If you would have taken and put that on flat ground and removed the lair actions and had the dragon and his 2 cultists, that would have been a pretty good fight for this party. We'd have probably squeaked out a win, but it would have been a good fight. But when you throw this other stuff in, we didn't stand a chance.
Well, I mean, that's part of what this series is taking the exact XP calculators from Wizards of the Coast and seeing how it matches up. And so
Well,
I
see,
think you add the map, you add all that together, it shows people that want to run this, okay, if I want to run this for my group and not absolutely slaughter them, maybe I'll take the layer actions out. Maybe I'll open up this map a little more.
You know, when I first, sent you that message and approached you about it, I was thinking just one-shots. Just because like CR's great and everything, but I don't listen to it anymore because I would only listen every 4 or 5 weeks, and I'd always forget, what happened, and I'd be halfway through an episode before I remembered, oh yeah, that's right, they were at that circus. So I thought one-shots, because it's like watching a movie. You get introduced to the characters, you got a story, you got a plot, you got some action, you got a grand finale, you get closure, it's over. And if you don't listen for a few weeks, it doesn't really matter because the next one is a whole new story.
Right.
And I thought that would be something that there might be a market for, an audience for, because I would definitely listen to it. But when you mentioned dying every episode, I wasn't too hip on that. But then you said you wanted to test the CR system. That's what you said. Test the CR rating to help out potential DMs, aspiring dungeon masters and stuff. And I'm down for that. I mean, I'm an old fucker, and we like to teach and share knowledge.
Set in your ways.
Like but I just don't think this was accurate unless you wanted to show a young dungeon master, okay, this is how you murder your fucking party. Because that's all this was. I mean, it was obvious to me the very moment you pulled us up on this map, we're fucking dead. 4 or 5 rounds, we're over. It's done. I mean, I could see it clearly, and that's why I tried to leave. I don't, B1RD when I'm like, here, take the dwarf.
As some of our other friends who've watched these videos would say, your tactics were lacking. Because a lot of you grouped up, and I was able to get you with that cone of cold.
And
now,
we were bunched up when we came out on the map.
But
got breath weapons back like every turn. Like
you also didn't know. You also didn't know what you were facing. If I had started this as you are a group of dragon hunters and think there is a white dragon in that mountain, you would have had magic items to help. You would have had your tactics to go against, and I think that really would have beefed it up, and you would have had a chance. So I think there's a little give and take.
We would have came at it differently. I would have created I like rogues.
See, there you go.
and we would have stealthed right up in there and got a good overlay of everything and made a plan of attack before we went in.
So I think a good learning point for those of you out there that do want to DM an encounter like this is if you're going to have a group attack a dragon in its lair and have the dragon have the best tactical outcome possible, prepare the group. Don't let them go in cold unless you want to kill the group, which is what we learned.
We never were bunched up. Your dice were doing it for you.
True.
And like I said before, I was at a very clear disadvantage also. When it came to like the 2 cultists, the only one that actually really was a problem was the archer. But then
you destroyed that first one.
No, yeah, at the end of the day, it came down to what was it? I rolled initiative. I said I rolled shit initiative, and for some reason I rolled really well for once, which was awesome. But the first cultist, the spellcaster, was gone. So it was only the archer that was alive for like the rest of the fight. True. So other than that, it came down to just dice. Like what I hit, how much damage did I do? Would my 2 hits be enough to kill him? Like,
let's keep. We're coming up on the end here on our time. So let's finish up here. So first, our very first death challenge. Manny and Mr. Red Streak here has agreed to take a shot as the first death of the encounter. So every time we do one of these, we'll have a challenge. If you guys end up killing me, I'll do the challenge. So we'll see what you come up with. But Manny, looks like you got some whiskey there.
Yes.
All right, pour one out for Red Streak.
Oh, my boy.
Just
pull out a little liquor.
A regular brand that we cannot see.
He didn't deserve that.
I'll tell you what, man. Shit Stain Underpants was a hell of a guy.
Take it like a champ. Good job.
Oh, it was boxer shorts. Sorry, shit stain boxer shorts.
Shit stain boxer shorts.
All right, so we'll just go around real quick and just any final thoughts on this episode before we move to the next. So, Chuck, final thoughts for anyone watching on that episode.
I almost gave all my feedback in a separate video.
Okay.
And I was going to entitle it, the Salty Grognard's Critique. But I didn't. I shit you not. I was salty about this motherfucker all the way up until yesterday. And so I'm sitting here last night playing video games, and I'm thinking, man, do I want to wake up early tomorrow and make that video and get it out in time for these guys to watch it before we have to film? And I'm like, nah, fuck it.
All right, Manny, final thoughts.
Seriously, why was that ranger so beefy?
We talking about the one outside the cavern?
No, I'm talking about the one inside
the
the
one.
dragon's lair. Because I think that's what did me in. That second shot. Because if that second shot had missed, I would have used an action, or I would have used an action to bring back B1RD.
Yep.
And we would have been in the fight for like another round. At
I
least
tell you
another
what,
round.
here's a little bit of advice, okay? Since how we see how this bullshit's gonna go. When you get your magic items, don't bother taking a bag of holding like I did. I mean, I know it's everybody's favorite item. Take something that blows up, man.
Also to add to you, Manny, if you did spend a spell slot to bring your
I had the supreme potion of healing.
Well, you had 2 potions that you never drank, but it takes a minute for your Soul Defender to come back to life.
Well, and the hard thing to remember too is now that we're doing rules as written, drinking a potion is your entire action, so that changes it a lot.
Like homebrew rules that we use in our other campaign and are kind of like well-known ones, like bonus action, drink a potion and stuff. So I apologize for that, and I'll be better next time. And some flanking rules, but we're not doing any flanking this time. So.
Right.
For those of you that want to play cleric in the future, have a few healing spells prepared. It is advised.
It's nice, but there is such a thing as a fighter cleric and ones that can dish out damage.
Yeah. I got Brother Burmish. I mean, if we ever play a level 10, I can bring Brother Burmish.
I saw Brother Burmish. He was ass. I'm kidding. But Bo did a kick-ass job with a cleric showing the damage potential, and I really loved seeing his character. He did a kick-ass job with his shamble of shit Warforged.
All right, Sam, final thoughts.
When it kind of came to the encounter and like following the building by the rules, it makes sense. I feel like it was deadly, but at the end of the day, you can never account for the roll of the dice. So for all players out there and DMs, the roll of the dice is really going to be what determines the outcome. And as a DM, you have to be very quick on your feet and good with the improv to kind of either lengthen or shorten battles accordingly to how the players are reacting to it, especially if you don't want to kill them outright, as Aaron usually doesn't in our campaigns. But
that's right.
It's the dice, man. The dice have a mind of their own sometimes.
RNG.
All right, Bo.
RNG. So take
Bo, anything more?
No, I don't know.
That was yours? Okay. Chuck, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out to both those guys out there that are watching this video, I really think that they need to come and see what happens in the next episode. We're teaching a little bit, but we're learning a little bit at the same time, and we're gonna get better. So come and see, dude. Come on.
Actually, honestly, that first episode, going back to watch it and stuff, like seeing the preview, it was nice. Like once everyone got like more comfortable into their character, it started flowing a bit more. There was a lot of fun. There was a lot of good goofiness, but not like derailing, which was good. Like I thought we did a really good job. More description. It was a criticism I heard was more description of like our actions and abilities, especially for the podcast listeners.
Yep.
So, but
we'll work on it.
We'll work on that. But honestly, for a first attempt, I give it like a solid B.
Sweet.
B plus.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up on time here. So yes, our next.
That's a big thick D, but that's about it.
Our next episode. There'll be a few changes that you'll see. We got a few things that we're gonna hash out, so we'll keep getting better. So join us for episode 2. Thank you, everybody. We're out.
Thank you, viewers.
Peace out.